So today's recording is about Fibonacci. So I'm after getting 5 or 6 requests about Fibonacci. Hello, everyone. How are you? How is everyone getting on? I'm assuming you can hear me loud and clear.
Afternoon.
Great to see everyone back on board for the Tuesday webinar. Was everyone happy with the movement on Apple yesterday? It had a nice little jump, didn't it? Does everyone here have Apple? Yep. Good. I don't. More to the question, why not? Why don't you have Apple? Yes, as underlying asset. We'll just have a quick look at them. So here are the positions I have on Apple. The last one was this year, so 5 months ago. So I'm up 24% on that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions all together. So altogether invested 700 quid. Profit on that is 1,200 at the minute, 1,300. So let's have a quick look at Apple. So Apple had a little bit of a breakout of that that sideways channel there. I know some of you guys talked about taking that trade there. Now I wouldn't have taken that at all, but there was a trade there and it eventually broke out. Would you have got a 1-to-1 out of that? Not so sure yet. 4.1. 4.1, yes, you would have just literally up to there was 4.2. So you would have literally got it, or if you didn't, it was the spread that kept you out of it. Felix, what do you mean? What's wrong with Zoom? Didn't know there was anything wrong with Zoom.
Probably means the stock, because I think it dropped it after hours yesterday.
Okay, so that had a really, really nice breakout there. And anyone who took that, well done, you the 1-to-1. But more to the point, anyone that took this down here, well done. Or jumped in any of these trades coming along, well done. Because this is the type of run that we've had on the likes of this. Now, is this going to continue running at this type of is this going to continue running like this? Probably not. Probably not. But what we have to do is we have to make sure that we get in on something like the likes of these. Does anyone know what return on average Apple has done from the day it opened? Year on year. Can anyone remember? I would have told you guys before. Does anyone know the average return Apple does year on year? Anyone hazard a guess? And that means all things being equal and it performs the same. Anyone else give me a guess? 200% a year? Gary, no, unfortunately, nowhere near that much. Anyone else? 20, 20, 20, 20 seems to be the most common guess. Well, the actual, sorry, we put an extra 0 on the 20. So no, not 20. 40% a year is the average return for Apple since the day it opened. But if we go back and have a look, is there any of these were at the beginning of the year? So this is 5 months old, and that's 24% up. So if it continues going the way it's going, by the end of the year, I'll be on course to hit 40% and I wouldn't be in a year. Okay, so this one is a year. So this is 16 months old, and I'm 137% up. Okay, this is 2 years old and 240% up, or 235. So, and then this one here, this one's actually a year old. This one here is a year old, and it's 200%. So the idea is once you have the likes of these, the likes of the Googles, the likes of the likes of Apple, Google, Microsoft, just buy them and hold on to them. You don't have to put a huge amount of money into them, but put a little bit. Put a little bit and just let them grow. Also on top of that, if I go back here to portfolio and I add in fees here, I've also made 15 quid on this in dividend. Now, obviously, it's not a huge amount of money. It's not a huge amount of money, but again, it's still dividend. I've still made that on that. And if we look at probably the one closest to it, so overall, I've put in 710 quid and 181% up overall on this. If we look at this, I put in 770 quid into Microsoft and I'm up 118%. So it hasn't done the same return on investment since the time I got into them. When I got into both of them at similar times, haven't done the same return on investment, but they have returned me 100% in 2 years. This is nearly 200% in 2 years. So just hold on to them and let them run, let them go. Unfortunately, they don't have the same sort of growth as the Teslas of the world and even Pinterest. Pinterest was up 300% at one stage. Okay, it doesn't have the same growth as that as of yet, but again, just buy them and let them go. Anyone who hasn't got the likes of these in their portfolio need to sort your life out. And similarly, look, the dividends is very, very similar. So not only have I made 915 quid on it, I've also made another 15 in dividend for holding on to it. Okay, sort your life out, get a few of these. Now, is this the best place or best time to get Apple, for instance? So, in your guys' opinion, is this the best place to buy Apple right now? No, Apple is overvalued. Well, Marcus, 99% of the stocks in the world are overvalued. Let's buy on all-time highs. For me, no, we shouldn't be buying it now. We need to wait for some sort of correction. Now, again, how big are these corrections going to be? No one knows. No one knows how big these corrections are going to be. Are we going to correction back to there? Or is a correction back to there much better value? Now, do I expect this to fall all the way back down to here? Probably not. I very much doubt it. If it come back down to here, in my opinion, that would be pretty decent value. If it come back down that far, it'd be pretty decent value in my opinion. That would be down to that point. That'd be a 10% drop. That'd be a 10% drop, which for me would represent a decent amount of value if I come back to there. We then have 1, 2, 3, 4 touches here, and we'd have a retest. Oh, absolutely, Marcus. You could buy it there and then buy it there again. Absolutely. Dollar cost average. And then if it continued going down, buy it there again. But the idea is to wherever this goes down to, just buy it. That's the moral of the story, is just buy it and I let it run. So we are now coming into the next quarter. Okay, so we're just about, tomorrow will be the beginning of the next quarter. Now, the next quarter, so this is the Q4, okay, so the final quarter of the year. What generally happens in the final quarter of the year? What happens in the final quarter of the year? Price goes up. But why does price go up? People start buying. But why do people start buying? New iPhones, Christmas. Well done. Christmas. Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. Okay. So if we get a pullback anywhere between now and the next month or two, any of these companies that start doing well for Christmas, isn't it a great time to actually start buying these? The likes of the Nvidias of this world, the likes of the Apples of this world, things that are really hot for the Christmas run, the Christmas rally. Okay. Now I understand the Christmas rally is 2 weeks before Christmas. So that's the Santa rally. It's 2 weeks before Christmas. But again, we should be having a little eye on that for the next quarter. So if the earnings come out good on the likes of these, we're probably not going to get a pullback. But if earnings come back as standard or a little bit below average, we will get a pullback on the likes of these. And if we get a pullback on them, if you don't have them, isn't it worth jumping in on the likes of these? And if it come back to there, we'd also have that trend line there coming up along. We'd also have that coming back into that area. So who knows how far this is going to run, but the idea, this continues to grow. This company continues to grow. Now, how long or how much more growth has this company got? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. So how much longer can we stay in this company? How much longer has this company to grow? Because this is the biggest market cap of companies in the world, isn't it? What is it? Over 2 trillion, nearly 2.5 trillion at the minute, market cap. Does this company still have room to grow? And the reality of this is that one, yes, this company still has room to grow. And two, we will probably see a consolidation period, a huge consolidation period of this. This will probably start going sideways. It'll start probably trending between 2 levels. When this company hits the ceiling, okay, do I expect this company to hit a ceiling and all of a sudden drop like a stone? I don't expect this to be like game. I don't expect Apple to be like game. So all of a sudden it hits the ceiling and then it drops. This is not one of those companies that when it hits there is going to drop. We would expect Apple that when it hits that top, that when it hits that ceiling, once it hits that point that we're getting to a point where people are now don't see the value in it anymore, it will get to a point where it starts moving sideways and people will then start trading it between 2 levels. So continue buying it till we start seeing that, till we start seeing that run, till we start seeing that point. Okay. And the same with the likes of the Microsofts of this world. The big companies like that, we're generally not going to see a huge, massive drop straight away. It'll probably tread sideways for a while, and then it'll continue trading there till we get a couple or 3 or 4 bad quarters, and then that's where we pull the plug on it. We take our profit and run, or leave a small position opened. But at the moment, just continue trading this. Once we get a pullback, let it run. But again, we have over the next 2 weeks, we will start to have earnings season open up again. So depending on how your stocks get on, we should have movement one way or the other. Now, what we're seeing recently is we saw it on Morgan Stanley more recently. So we had an order long, and the news, the earnings, everything come out positive, but the stock actually dropped. So why would the stock drop if the earnings were good and everything was good? There was nothing negative that came out. Well, you have people taking profit. You have the short sellers jumping in and trying to make a quick buck on it. You have that as well. So, Cash, you said last year in September there was a 30% correction. Do you foresee that? This year? We could get that. Absolutely. Of course, we could get that. But what you would have to do is have a look at every September and see has that happened. It didn't happen in this one. It happens here in 2008 because the whole market dropped in 2008. Okay, so we have to go back and have a look at the data here. It's finished the month the same as it started the month. Okay, so the idea is to go back and have a look and see, is this a pattern that's happening on this particular stock? You can't just go back and have a look, oh, I had a 30% drop there. Also then have a quick look, did that happen because the market dropped, or did it happen just literally because on Apple? And then if it just happened on Apple, then it's a thing related to Apple. Okay. So that's the problem. If it happened across the board, then no, that's across the board. So do I see the market dropping just because it's September? No, because that's not a thing. In 2018, the whole market corrected. So it wasn't anything to do with Apple. It was the whole market corrected. So we had a 30% drop across all the indices. Okay. But again, make sure you are set up for when these markets do take off, that you've set up that we have money there set aside. We have things set aside that when we do get this Santa rally, or when we do get a good quarter, if we do think that Apple's phones are going to be sold more. Now, you could be someone who's a Samsung user. Okay, if we have a look at Samsung, look at their competitors. Okay, and have a look at the likes of that. You might look at this one and say, well, this one is much better value than the likes of Apple. You might look at that and go, well, this is a downward trend. I don't particularly think that's a good trade to take. Okay, so it all depends on what's going on. You have to look into the company a little bit, find out why that has dropped. When is their next unit come up? Have they hit it? So the idea is, before you invest in Apple, look at their competitors. Make sure you're looking at what they have done. And are they hitting their targets? Are Apple, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, I'm going to have a quick look at Bitcoin. A quick look at Bitcoin. Not much has happened in this market since last Tuesday. We are still waiting for this to come back into the 42,000 level. And if it comes back to the 42,000 level, then that for me is the area where we would potentially be looking to buy this up again. So that's the area where we're looking to buy it up again. But for me, there's nothing going on till that happens. So ADA has gone on a tear at the minute. Anyone who has had ADA, well done. It has had this massive run. Did anyone buy it when it come back to this level? Did anyone buy it when it come back to that level? Anyone that did? You're not in it? No. My order here never triggered in. Look. Never triggered in. I placed the order here once, twice, never triggered into them. I'm a little bit annoyed, massively annoyed. But again, that's the thing with trading. My order is still there. Haven't been triggered into a Cathy. So again, we looked at it and we've had these retests, and I actually haven't seen these retests. I wasn't looking at Cardano when they retested, so unfortunately I didn't actually take these ones. But again, back to this point again, this is where we're potentially looking at it. Now the question is that, does this need a pretty decent pullback before it goes again? Or is this happy to come down to the 2,400, 2.4 level and then take off again? Is that a point where it's going to take off again? So we have to make sure. So smart contracts about to be released, potentially take off again. It may, absolutely it may. But again, we have to wait for it to come back into one of these areas, either back to this level here, back to this level. We can't be looking to buy it here at a record high. How many times have people bought it here, fear of missing out, and all of a sudden you're left holding on to that for 6 months, 2 years for it to turn around? And that's the only difference. That is the only difference with the likes of this. We shouldn't be buying it here at the high. We need to have a pullback. Remember, trade smart. Same as we've just done on Apple. Is Apple a good buy right now? No, we need a pullback. We needed to come back into an area. So the same here with Ether. It hasn't changed. We needed to come back to this level. Needed to come back into this area. And if it comes back there, then this is the potential setup. XRP. How many people have had XRP? How many people bought it up here? 1.7. You've just basically been sitting through all this negativity, sitting through it. Or if you were smart, slowly dollar cost averaging in, buying it on the way down. Okay. I bought it at 0.68. Well done, Tom or Todd. Well, I'm Todd, that's the really good level to jump in on it. For me, it has to come back down to this level, 94 level, before we're looking to buy it again. If it comes back down there, there's potential trade in this. But if we look at the likes of this compared to the likes of ADA or even Bitcoin, it just looks a little bit better. It's trending. There's a little bit of momentum to it. With all the hassle that XRP had, it's something that happens sometimes. Was it a good point to buy it up? Absolutely. If you bought it up in the middle of the court case, you would have been now up 100% if you had bought it down here. But again, it takes a little bit of what would you call it? A little bit of guts to jump in on something that is a little bit unsure, something that is potentially trading, and there's a little bit of negativity going on about it. So make sure that you're looking at things correctly. Now, for me, I would never have invested in this with what was going on with the court case. Not something that was on my radar at all. So as you know, myself and Ben have changed up a little bit. So anyone who wants to get involved in my webinars, anyone who has liked what they saw and they want to jump in on this, if you go to henry-ward.co.uk, this here is the link to everyone. This is the link to my page. And as you know, guys, there's a free course there. So the whole course is free. Jump in on board, get watching it, looking at it, so on and so forth. And then anyone who wants to jump in on the webinars, all you do is drop that menu here, click on Trading Academy, and you will see that my webinars are here. Up, scroll down, webinars there, and click on Start Today and just get on board. It's 47 quid a month, which means then you can jump in on that if you want. Anyone who was already on TraderStream, or anyone, you should already have access to Ben and myself. So that doesn't change for anyone. So you have access to both of us. But anyone who jumps in this, you have access to me. Okay, anyone who hasn't jumped over to the Discord as of yet, so anyone here who hasn't jumped into Henry Ward chat room here, let me know. Anyone who's a paid member and you can't see this, so there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 sections here. If you can't see it, let me know. Most people are now in and set up. But if you're a paid member already and you can't get in on it, let me know. Private message me here on Discord and I will get that set up for you. Anyone got any questions before I hand you over to Ben? About my portfolio, about what you did, anything like that? Anyone got any questions before I pass you over? And hopefully by the end of the year, this will be 10K. Oh, sorry. I'll give you a quick update on those two. Sorry, my bad. I never gave you a quick update on these two. My apologies. So these are the two trades that we have on. We've Aussie CHF. So the trade is there. Now the trade here is now going to be updated. So that's the trade at the moment. So I'm obviously making this line fit, because this line, I'm chopping off this here, but I'm not here. So the problem with this is that we're sort of making the line fit rather than it be a perfect line. Now, if we go up here, it doesn't suit. So if I go up here, it doesn't suit. So what I have to do is I now have to get the line of best fit. And if I put that down there, and I get this lined up like this, and that's probably the best fit that I can get. So with a touch there, touch there, touch, and then touch again, which means then I'm now going to update that trade. So my stop loss will go here, and my entry will go here. So I am canceling that trade, delete the trade. Yes, delete. Okay, delete. and I will be replacing this trade here, looking for CHF strength to the downside. And then the other one is Euro JPY. Similarly to the other one. Now, this one hasn't got as good a trend. Okay. And for me now, it will have to come up. For me, it'll have to come up now into this level for me to be interested in this again. So bounce, bounce, retest, bounce. So for me, this one is deleted. This one is delete. Okay. So this one is deleted till it comes back up and hits this area. So if it hits this area, then I'll be looking to short this market. But at that particular point, no. So the Euro JPY one has been cancelled, and Aussie CHF will be replaced very shortly. Euro CHF. Oh, bear with me, sorry. Euro CHF. So Euro CHF has a double top there, or more or less. Let me have a look. There is a level there. There is a level there, and it is an okay level. And there is a potential trade there once this bar is finished. Now, not before. So once this bar is finished, there is a potential trade there, entry below it, stop loss above it. So the stop loss would have to go above this high here, an entry there. And the idea would be at least to have a one-to-one before it hits this low. At least have a one-to-one before it hits there. If I get my segments. Let me see, down to there. So there was the entry. So we would have a one-to-one before it hits there if this bar finished like this. But remember, there is still another, what, 8 hours of trading? GBP NZD, sorry, Ben, GBP NZD, potential breakout to the downside. Well, the breakout has already happened. For me, it needs to retest. And then we'll look to potentially short that. So the breakout has already happened. All right, everyone, I'm going to pass you over to Ben. Ben, are you there? Can you hear me, Ben? Hello? Doesn't sound too promising. We cannot hear you, Ben, at all. Well, I'm going to crack on. And if Ben can sort out his sound, he can jump in. Okay, so while Ben is sorting out his sound, something that I wanted to go through with you guys today. Knock twice if you are. Something I want to go through with you today, guys, is the hot list. So this is the hot list that we done previously. Now, how many of you guys still look at this hot list? How many of you guys still here have it? So I'm going to pop it in the group here. So they are all our list of hots. So I hope you can copy and paste that if you want, guys. But that's the hot list. Now, how many people have checked this? How many people check this every so often or every quarter? Because there are some really, really good trades there that we've already missed. Now, one of the things that was on this list already was the Ashted group. Now, I don't know whether, I know on the Tuesday webinar, the Ashted group, and I said I haven't seen it before, but obviously I have because it was on my watch list here, but I hadn't looked at it a little while, and the Ashted group was something that came up. Okay, so let's see if they're still hot. Okay, so we talked about this when this was trending. So it came back into this area and it double bottomed. It double bottomed quite nicely. And then look, it took off again, sort of come back here. So now in this particular one, we have this sort of sideways movement going on. We have a little bit of a sideways movement going on. Just texting Ben, what's wrong with his mic? So we have this sideways movement. Now, if this popped down to this horizontal level down here, would this be a thing that we're looking to jump in on? Okay, so everyone says yes. Okay, cool. Now, should this still be on the hot list? Yes or no? Is this something now that we should have on the hot list? So remember, what's the criteria for the hot list? Criteria for this hot list, is it trending? And is this trending? No, it's not. This is not trending anymore. It would come off it. So Admiral Group. So I'm going to get rid of Anglo-American. So that is coming off the list. So Admiral Group. We talked about Admiral Group here, wanting it to break and retest over here. And we didn't actually get a break and retest. It just continued to go up, skyrocket. Okay, so we needed some sort of pullback, and that never happened. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So that has still continued to grow. Did anyone get this down here? Did anyone buy this from the last time we looked at it? So you'll see something that happens quite a lot on these stocks, that it trends, it moves sideways, and then it trends again. Okay, so there's no problems finding these bottoms, these floors, and buying them up. It's that if it breaks and starts dropping further, that's when we exit a trade. But if it starts to trend up again, brilliant. But the idea is to go through these hot lists every so often and check and make sure that they are still hot, that are still trending, and making sure that there's still trades on this. Okay, I wanted this to come back in this area. It didn't, and it just took off. And I don't mind. Why? Because I've bought in at a much lower rate. And this is the idea, of all this, is that you're using your hot list to your advantage. Now, looking at Microsoft here, and this analysis here, is there any way we could have traded this on the way up? Because we have no pullbacks here as such. There's no way for us really to invest in this. There's no real way of support and resistance. But is there any other strategy that we could use to jump in on this particular asset? Everyone's gone quiet now. They don't want to jump in and potentially give a wrong answer. Dollar cost averaging? Well, you could if you wanted, but I was thinking more so of sort of a CFD trading rather than the likes of this, because for me, this is, I wouldn't really be dollar cost averaging into this because it's gone so much. Okay, so the likes of dollar cost averaging is once it's moving sideways, that's where you start, and then you carry on as it's trending like this. But you could dollar cost average into this. So for me, it would be pivot points. We've gone through pivot points before. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not. So if we go to the pencil here and we go to studies 2. So studies 2, and then scroll down to P. Uppers I've gone past that. Okay. Pivot points. And then press create. Now, the idea of these pivot points is it gives us a setup, okay? Now, when we're trading pivot points, this black line is the entry line. This green line is our stop loss in an upward trend. And then our take profit is 3 times the distance up, okay? So probably somewhere around here. Now, the idea is that we would put this at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the month, this price at 281. Now we can see that this does not come back here. So on the daily, we do not have a pivot point. Here's the other daily pivot point. It never comes back. This one here, the beginning of the month, it hits it. And anyone who took this pivot point here, so the entry was here, stop loss was here. Anyone who took this one had a winner. And now look where it is. It's got on extremely well. Now, what we do is we drop down to the 4-hour using these pivot points. So this one had pullback. We'd be triggered into this pivot point here. Stop loss, entry, and our take profit, it would be somewhere up around here, I'd imagine. So that means then we're now in profit. Look at this one here. Entry, stop loss, triggered in, on the way up. That would have hit a profit. So stop loss here, entry there. This one would have triggered you in and stopped you out, and then triggered you in and had a winner on the way up. This one would have triggered you in, would never have hit your stop loss and had a winner. This one would have triggered us in, wouldn't have hit our stop loss and had a winner. This one would have triggered us in, hit our stop loss, and then if you took it again, triggered you in, and you had a winner. And this is the beauty of the likes of this. Once you find something that's trending, there's loads of different strategies you can use to get into stuff that's trending. So look, this one triggered us in, wouldn't have hit the stop loss, and it's gone on to be a winner. So no, that's not Fibonacci pivot points. No, this is pivot points. So what a pivot point is done is for a daily pivot point, it is based on the previous 2 daily highs, the 2 previous close, the 2 previous opens, and then there's a mathematical formula to work out how it works. Okay, so that's the idea. So there's a mathematical formula to work out what pivot points, where they're from. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on how to work it out, but that's how it is. It's done over a 3-day, or if you're talking about a weekly pivot point, it's done over 3 weeks, and so on and so forth. Now, this one is the standard one. This one is just a standard one. There's loads of different types of pivot points, but this one is just a standard pivot point. So there's loads of different ways of trading, but the idea is we find something that's trending nicely. And once it's trending nicely, we get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out. Even though the market hasn't had a proper pullback, and there's loads of these stocks that we could have done that on. There's loads of these stocks. We don't have to be just sitting and holding. We can actually trade these. We can get there a little bit faster with the likes of these. I took a CFD on Microsoft on the last pivot point. It's in profit now. Well done, Nicola. Good. Well done. Hopefully now it'll go on and hit your 3-to-1. Keep up the good work. But that's the idea. Looking at the likes of these, making sure these strategies work. And then once I get to understand the strategies, then just implementing them. Can we have a look at natural gas? Absolutely. Anyone who took natural gas, well done. It has had a huge run. So if we back up to the daily chart, daily. So we talked about this entry here, entry, stop loss. If you had taken it, I'm pretty sure it would have hit it 3-to-1. Measure from here to here. So anyone who's new, I'm measuring, there's the entry, there's a stop loss. And all I'm doing is in the brackets here, I'm seeing what percentage that was. And that is 4.3. So just say 4.5. Multiply that by 3. So 13.5. And this one went up to 16. So it was a very easy 3-to-1 there. And it's now come back down. So it's now come back down. We're going to have a little look at this one and see, is this a support and resistance? I'm going to move that up a fraction. Okay, I'm actually going to put in a proper level there. Bear with me. Horizontal. Okay, so we've had a couple of touches over here. 1, 2, 3. But we've also had 2 breaks of this. Okay, so there is a level here, but it's not a massive level, but there is a small level there. Now, see this come back to here. Is this an area we would look to trade if that comes back to here? So entry above that bar and stop loss below the level. Is that trade valid? If it bounces, yes. But the thing about it is we should be taking this with the assumption it's going to bounce. We should be in this before we actually get the bounce. Now, for me, is this a trade? No. For me, this is not a trade. Can anyone tell me why this is not a trade for me? For me, the strongest level here is this trend line. Remember, we looked at that horizontal level. We've 1 touch here and we've 2 touches over there, but it broke twice as well. For me, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And every time it hits this level, it moves away, moves away, moves away. So for me, I would like to see this come down to this trend line. So for me, that's the strong one here. But is this a valid trade? Absolutely, yes, it is. 100%. It is a level. People who use Fibonacci, it's probably down to the 38 level. If I get Fibonacci, I start here at the bottom of this, move it up, and look, it drops back to the 38 too. So it is a level. It reaches Fibonacci. It's come back to support and resistance. Absolutely. It meets a lot of criteria. There's a lot of criteria there that this is just meeting. But for me, it has to come back to the trend line there. So it's not a trade that I would take per se, but it is a trade that there is a valid trade there, yes. Look, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Sorry for the technical issues with Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to everyone, and looking forward to seeing you on tomorrow's webinar. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.